Hi, I'm Steve Hall. Been in the aircraft delivery business for about 42 years. I started in 1967. We deliver aircraft across the ocean. Take it over to the new purchaser over in Africa, Europe, Asia, Far East, Middle East, South America, North America, any place that they want to take it.
There's a huge variety of aircraft types that we get to fly. Like one day we'll be flying a crop duster, next day taking a turboprop corporate plane.
And back of me is a Cessna 172. And the French would call this a petit avion. It's miniature. We put what we call a supplemental fuel tank installation. The aircraft goes from a 5.5 hour range, it can go up to 22, 23 hours of range. And this is what's needed to cross the ocean. This is not a job for everyone because this takes a unique breed of person. You either want someone very mentally strong or you want someone that's warped.
I love being strung out over this ocean, you know, that knowing that if something does happen, more than likely the worst is going to happen.
Yeah, ferrying's definitely not for everyone. You gotta be a certain breed to be able to handle it.
Anyone that lives and breathes adrenaline.
Fear keeps you alive.
It kind of kicks in like, man, you know, why am I doing this?
Someone says we're nuts. I say they're absolutely correct. I need people that like adventure. I tell my pilots that it's important that they have fun in this industry.
Some of the adventures of ferrying is you just get to see some amazing places.
Flying over England at 2,000 feet and here's an old castle with a moat around it.
The sand dunes in the deserts, the pyramids.
India.
Reykjavik, Iceland.
Then took Namibia. I just saw a giraffe over here, and there goes an elephant herd, and you get to see wildlife that you've only seen on television.
I'm not a big person on exotic foods or anything, but you know, how many people have said that, you know, they've had a piece of camel?
How was your flight into Reykjavik? Ferry pilots, the first 25 flights that they're on the road, they are tied to what we call a telephone tether. They have to call in to be dispatched in order to leave.
Yeah, you know, one thing that's really great about Steve is he's like a father figure, he's like a dad. No matter where you are in the world, he knows where you're at, and he'll always find you.
I want to know when they shower, when they shave, when they go to the head. You cannot leave Iceland unless I tell you you can go. I will spend over $20,000 training a pilot. I'm looking for someone I can invest in that will stay with me. I don't need people that can fly. I need people that can think and fly.
You got to be able to think for yourself.
I guess I've always been a bit of a solo player.
You got to be able to think fast.
I'm not in the aircraft delivery business. I'm in the problem-solving business. How do I get the customer's airplane safely from point A to point B? I just solve problems all day.
The last thing you want to do as a ferry pilot is get complacent. That's the most dangerous attitude you can have. We've lost pilots.
Because we're still hauling these small little four-seater airplanes in a piston across the North Atlantic or all the way over to the Azores.
I get to fly to a lot of places that people don't even know.
You got to deal with bureaucracies.
When you're going to Africa, the pilot needs probably 50% aviation skills, but he needs to have another 50% ability on how to deal with the locals.
So it's somebody who can think on their feet or in the seat.
Sometimes you got to know the right palms to grease.
When you go into a country and you see the old government, the new government, and the new government, you get the idea of how unstable Africa can be.
You'll go to a place where, I mean, it's really serious. I mean, you've got 4 or 5 customs agents around you. They're all carrying machine guns. They're looking through your stuff. They're looking through your passport, and then you feel about this big, you know.
And you've got to be able to stand your ground and know what's right and what's wrong, and otherwise you find yourself in some backwards little jail going.
For years, my business, my head partners, one of my partners was shot down. Bart Wooldry shot down in the India-Pakistani border. He presented a target for someone who had been carrying a shoulder-fired missile around, and the Indian chap blew him out of the air. When you're flying across third world nations at night, you turn your lights. There are more risks than you can ever imagine.
It's electrical problems occasionally, halfway across the Atlantic in an arrow, and everything goes black.
You have to be adaptable to what's going on. The weather changes.
When you're crossing the Sahara Desert, you have 2 types of season. One is turbulent and bumpy during the daytime, and the other one is extremely turbulent with thunderstorms.
Storms are one of the major things, especially when we're crossing the equator.
Thunderstorms can be a little iffy sometimes.
You go through what's called the ITC, the Intertropical Convergence Zone.
We don't fly into them intentionally. We try to stay away from them.
Rain was so heavy that it actually shorted out all the antennas for the radios.
The whole cockpit lit up blue and lit up the sky because he was struck by lightning.
The storm's got a lot more power inside of it than what your aeroplane does. So
Icing on the North Atlantic is extremely, dangerous.
ice and small airplanes don't go well together. So.
We don't play with ice too much. Ice will kill you in a heartbeat.
Airplanes are not designed to be popsicles.
Because these airplanes don't have any de-icing equipment on them.
So inherently, when they get ice in the wings, it changes the airfoil and the machine starts coming out of the air. So ideally, what you want to do, if you're going to hit icing, you want warm air underneath you so that in the event you hit icing, you can descend. I've crossed the ocean at 20 feet off the water because of severe icings. It's kind of nerve-wracking, but it works.
It is dangerous work.
When you're 6 hours into a 12-hour flight over the middle of the Atlantic and there's no land in any direction for at least 6 hours.
There's always going to be something that is going to happen.
Yeah, we're always prepared to ditch.
And you look down and you know those waves are 25, 30 feet. And to ditch in that, it doesn't matter if anybody can get to you and pick you up. You ain't gonna survive.
I'm one of the few that I've had an engine failure over the North Atlantic.
The tower goes, you're going to assist in the emergency.